people have been programmed to respond with, it's like the, hey, how you doing? What's your program response? Like everybody has these program responses. So when you ask really personal stuff, like maybe don't do it right when you walk in the door. These are things that seem very obvious, but when you're in the flow of this appointment or the phone call, however your business process is, and I just guarantee the next guy who pulls up in his really nice Jaguar that he pulled up in, slick back hair, he, works for a very big company. I looked at him right away and I literally think to myself, this is not egotistical, but I literally think you lost. You already lost this. He might offer more than us, but that's something I can't control.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Brian Driscoll, and I'm here with Patrick Tanner. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So you're in Missouri, right?
Yep. St. Louis, Missouri, smack dab in Tornado Alley right now, man.
Patrick, give everybody a little background, like how you got into the space and what all you do.
So I think I followed a pretty traditional path. I say that, but then I meet people who don't follow that path. But that path is working a normal job. I was a mechanic. I know how to put like nuts and bolts of stuff together. And I've never really gone out in any sort of venture on my own to build a business. And I've always been gravitated towards real estate. And I learned very early on, as I'm sure a lot of you listening to this, is you cannot have a business without leads. And you cannot have any business. It doesn't matter what you do. So I got out of that W-2 job and I really was just doing the hustle, right? Which was door knocking, cold calling, all direct mail, bandit signs, all the normal stuff. And I got a lot of success doing that. But as you grow and you build up some sort of marketing budget and you really start networking with more people, you realize the more, avenues you're streamlined in the marketplace, the more deals you're going to do, the more people are going to gravitate to you to know exactly what you do and where you provide a lot of value. And so where we provide a lot of value is on the front end and how we walk our deals and negotiate our contracts and provide absolute obliterated value to a seller. I don't even know if that sounds right, but that's really where we stand out from the competition because I don't know if you guys know, listen to this, real estate is getting saturated, is more saturated every day. And so you have to control what you can control. And I can't control if a seller wants retail for a house. We can't control that. Brian on here understands all that. You guys listening understand that. We can't control that. What we can control is how we stand out from the rest of the pack, right? It sounds very obvious, but there's things that you can, kind of weave into your business that has put you leaps and bounds with somebody else. And I can go over some of those on this call today if you want, but that's just kind of our approach. And we've done really well doing that, both organic marketing, also paid leads, everything in between.
All right, I like it. Obliterated value.
I make up a lot of words, man.
Hey, you know what? But that's what you're giving sellers. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, an example of that would be like this morning. You guys know what a cattle call type lead is. What I think we forget is the cattle call lead is still a motivated seller who's going to sign a contract for a discounted price off market, as is all the things that we go after. But I watch people, including this morning, which is why it's fresh in my mind, that get all bent out of shape when we show up and there's 6 cars. And we show up and there's people at the door and we weren't even the first ones there. And you feel kind of duped, you feel kind of tricked. But at the end of the day, like that is a great lead and you need to treat it as such. And I watch these people who, some of them have 20 years of experience. I'm not saying I'm better or worse than any of them, but I really hone in on this part of the craft because this is where what I can control happens and it unfolds. So, we walk in this house this morning and I really slow it down. I talk to the brother. I really get to know what's going on. It's very obvious that their father has passed very recently. There's a lot of things going on from a human to human level that we need to address. And it's uncomfortable if I don't do that. And I think a lot of other people might forget that we're here to provide a service, sure. And if the guy's all business, read the room, right? If the guy's all business and, hey, just do your thing and he's on his phone and he's distracted or whatever it is, maybe don't be so personable. But this guy was very uncomfortable. He just lost his father. And it's our job to, be a human in that situation. Obviously, we're going to make an offer on the house. Obviously, all these other pieces of the puzzle are going to fall into place. But I almost guarantee you without back thought at all that the next guy behind us isn't going to approach the appointment that way. And, we're not trying to spend 45 minutes at a house, but we definitely will do that. But it's a great lead, and so now our job becomes figure out what we can pay, make the offer and just kind of keep that energy going. And then I'll end that description or this example with, I always tell people, hey, is there anything on this appointment that would really stand out that we could do to stand out from the pack? Maybe it's not the price. Maybe there's a car that's, downstairs that's taken apart that they have a title for that they have an issue with. Maybe it's grandpa's kitchen table that has etchings in it from grandma who's been gone for 30 years. Maybe it's the armoire cabinet or whatever they're called in the kitchen that has a bunch of old glass that I look at as junk, right? Like I don't want any of this stuff, but it's important to these people. And so we really got to slow down and figure out what that is and if it's a deal killer. And that's what we do on appointments.
You know what? That's a big thing because everyone always assumes they know what the pain points are.
Yeah.
Asking, is there anything specific? Because they're going to tell you what their problems are if you ask.
Usually.
Yeah. That's an interesting point because I've never heard anyone actually say that. Like I hear that on sales calls. Like we do Sandler. You ever did Sandler sales?
No.
Okay, so Sandler Sales has an upfront contract. It's like, hey, you know what? Hey, what do you want to accomplish on this call? Is there anything we want to make sure to cover? And you go into the upfront contract. It's kind of the same thing you're talking about there, but better. It's like, hey, seller, number one, we have empathy for you. Like we care and give a crap. And is there anything that's top priority for you that we can help you with and see if they tell you? Because then you can try to solve it and help them out.
Yeah, and you just don't know until you ask. But people have also been programmed. This is very psychological. I did a lot of NLP studying when I first got into real estate because, once again, the philosophy is control what you can control, and you just have to ignore the rest because I can control the right questions and the right energy and the right things to insert in our conversations along the way, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in person, whatever it is, I can control that. So it's our job to figure that stuff out. But people have been programmed to respond with, it's like the, hey, how you doing? What's your programmed response? Like everybody has these program responses. So when you ask really personal stuff, maybe don't do it right when you walk in the door. These are things that seem very obvious, but when you're in the flow of this appointment or the phone call, however your business process is, because I know a lot of people are doing this stuff virtually and they won't even pursue the lead without a signed contract, whatever crazy stuff you guys are doing out there, whatever. This is just how we do it. But it works very well, and I just guarantee the next guy who pulls up in his really nice, Jaguar that he pulled up in, slick back hair. He, works for a very big company. I looked at him right away and I literally think to myself, this is not egotistical, but I literally think you lost. You already lost this, and he might offer more than us, but that's something I can't control.
Right. And it's funny too, because in my opinion, I don't have much data to back this up, but in my opinion, most people want to sell to Patrick down the road that's a normal guy, not the big bank, because they think they're going to kind of pound him over. So it's like, I think most people want to sell to a normal person that they think is going to do something nice with their house, because a lot of people are like, hey, you know what? This is my parents' place. I don't want to see it just go to whatever. It would be nice if it's fixed up and then a family moves into it or something, things like that,
Yeah, I mean, so we've bought a couple houses with this value driven in mind where I've offered, don't offer something that you aren't actually willing to offer. I think that goes without saying, but where you get caught up in doing this is I offered, how people always write the height of their kids on the door jams, growing up. That is such a common thing that if you see that in a house when you're walking, with the actual owner, obviously, you're walking through this house, I stop and I touch it with my hand and I rub it up and down, and not weird, but I'm just like, hey, who, as these are kids, did they grow up? It's a very, very emotional point of conversation and point of sale, really, if you really want to look at it that way. And I make the suggestion, depending on their reaction with it, is like, hey, would that door frame be of interest to save for you after we rehab the house? I mean, that's crazy. I
you mean physically take it off and give it to them?
And I've had two people take me up on it, and we got both. And I said, well, the only way that happens is if we get to buy the house, and it's just weird stuff like that. You kind of probably feel it on this call right now. You're like, damn, that would probably work, Yeah. And so it's like,
as long as you're not touching it weird,
Yeah. Well, it's just making it known that I'm present with dang, right. Man, these are all different markers. Man, one of these are faded down here. Man, they were really small. Whatever you got to do, be present. I see people walking appointments all the time and they're just like, yeah, show me around and I'll take some pictures. And, I don't even ever hear anybody ask, is there any rooms that I shouldn't go in? Do you have any private areas that I shouldn't go in? And I've only learned this through repetition and doing appointments. So if you guys are listening to this and you're like, man, I don't know where he learned all this shit, I promise you'll have a seller who is mad at you for opening the door because their boyfriend's sleeping and, he's smoking a bowl of weed or something, or there's just something private is going on in that room, insert whatever. And so when those things happen, you start to mold your appointment process. You're like, well, hey, maybe I should, ask if there's any things any rooms I shouldn't go in. And then on top of that, I make a joke of it. I'm like, is there any, animals, cats, dogs, giraffes, people, in any rooms I shouldn't go in? And that's just how we broach the appointments, because immediately we're standing out from the rest. And sometimes they literally ignore me and they don't laugh at that. And I just, whatever, it is what it is. But at least we're just doing our process.
You just made me think of something. If they don't laugh at your joke too, it's like now you see, okay, this is the type of person I'm dealing with, because you got like CPA type personalities, and then you got people like us and different personalities that react differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my entire philosophy, whether it's me doing the appointment or whether I'm on the phone or whether it's somebody in my office, because we do have some people that run appointments with us and for us, my whole philosophy is I'm a detective, or what's called when in NLP is you're a lost kid syndrome. And so I do it on cold calls. I do it all the time, where I'm like, hey, I literally don't know what's going on. Please help me. And that's just one of those human psychology things where it's like, as long as I'm not confrontational, I'm the lost kid that knocked on your door because I don't know which one is my house. And so that's just I don't want to say trick, because we're not like using it as a trick, but it's just how people respond. And if all our entire goal is to try to get people's defenses down, because the reality is they're going to sign a contract. They don't want to be in the situation they're in. The house needs work. They're probably embarrassed. Whatever memories are going on in their brain is neither here or there, but it's just like, they don't want to be in the situation most of the time, or they're not selling their house for half price to some stranger. We want to eliminate that entire dynamic. So that's just kind of how we go about it.
Yeah, you just brought up something too about embarrassed. I think a lot of people are embarrassed. You got to think about that. Like, you figure if it's somebody that lived in the house and the house is deteriorated and it's a hoarder house, that's an embarrassing thing. It's like, I got people coming into my house now. They don't want to live like that.
Yeah. The other part of it too is I internalized that. Like, I wasn't going to go into too much background about myself, but like, I'm a recovering addict. I've had alcoholic parents. I've been in and out of treatment years and years of my life until 2018. I didn't finally stop doing drugs. Like, I've had a lot of things go on in my life, but I think that's really prepared me to understand when I walk into a problem and somebody who's been hoarding, who's 40 years old, which is an example of a house we're buying right now, but she just lost her dad 2 years ago, and she doesn't even know how to set up a bank account because he babied her so much. I identify with that. And I'm like, man, I've hung out with people like you. And this is the end result of that. And so I just, maybe I have a little bit more personal connection with that than the next person, but that doesn't mean that you won't empathize and understand in that situation how severe that can be for a person. It's like, oh, you don't even know, how are your taxes getting paid? Like, you start thinking about all these things. She doesn't have a car. I'm like, how are you getting to work? She's like, I take the bus. And I'm like, well, what's your boyfriend do? She goes, well, he takes the bus. He walks to his job. And you start to figure out, I was like, oh, and you guys are happier than shit. Like, this is crazy. But they're in this situation that the average person would walk in there and just judge the shit out of. And so that's what we excel trying not to do. And she was embarrassed, but now she's let half of our team in there, which is like 8 people. We've all walked through the house. We've all sat down. We signed the contract in camping chairs in the living room because there's nowhere to sit, Yeah. Like, it's just the reality of these deals. But that's a referral deal from just the entire process I've gone over and how we treat people.
Yeah. And you know what? Hey, thanks for sharing the personal stuff too, because people life hits you in the face. It's like, it just makes you who you are.
Yeah, man.
And that's cool too, because like, you experience what you experience, and then you can take that and relate to other people. And also now you make that person feels like a person. That's probably why they drop their guard and can engage with you now, because you treat them with respect. It's like, hey, dude, life sucks. Everyone's got their stuff. Yeah. Let me try to help you out here and figure it out,
Yeah. Well, back to what you said earlier about like, they're embarrassed. And I once again, I'm just a big comedian, right? I think a lot of us people that are filled with trauma are just comedians at heart. But, it's like they get embarrassed about their house. And I literally stop. I will put my hand on their shoulder, as awkward as it is. And I'll say, if I had $1 for every time somebody was mad or upset that they're telling me the condition of their house and they're embarrassed by it, I wouldn't need to be here to buy your house. So it's fine. And, I'm very adamant on stuff like that where, don't get me wrong, Brian, I've put my hand on somebody's shoulder in that moment, or I've reached for it and they've rejected it, and I'm just like, okay, cool. We're collecting data. We're collecting information. Like, no problem. Your walls and guard, everything's still up. No problem. But we're still here to do business, So where's my next entry?
Yeah, that's so true too. And like, everybody's different, but then like in the situation you're at today with all these different people, you need to stick out. You need to differentiate yourself. And also, if you think about it from the seller side, they're thinking, who's going to buy this and actually close?
Yeah.
All these people are telling me BS. Some of them are just wholesaling. They might be in the game for a month and don't know how to actually close on the property.
as of a year and a half, 2 years ago, when the market really tightened and everybody's metrics have just gone through the floor across the nation, really. I know some people who are having the best years of their life, but I mean, the general consensus is the market's gone down, a lot for us investors, and it will get better and it will come back. But my point of that is a lot of people have closed their doors. And so, like, I haven't really seen the need to give that any energy as of lately. But when it was getting crazy, like during COVID and stuff, or even like 2019, I would run into people, just random 19-year-old kids at properties, textbook wholesalers. I'm
Mhm.
not saying there's anything wrong with that. And if you guys are listening to this, there's a way to carry yourself that is more professional than what I'm describing now, because it's just obvious that like you need to explain that you're able to close. And so I think just after you do this a little bit longer, and kind of the market has weeded out some people who might have been part-time, including agents too. We haven't really experienced that, at least in St. Louis, but there's a time and a place for it for sure.
Different question for you. So, what's your close rate? Like, you go meet with people, but you meet everybody in person, right? All belly to belly.
Yeah, I prefer to. My goal is to sell the phone call, then sell the appointment. That's like with the flow of it. Our close rate has really changed. It used to be like 1 in 5.4, or at least mine, and now it's like almost, I'd say double that.
1 in 10.
Yeah, one in like, and that's embarrassing, but I'm just honest about everything, because it used to be half that before a year and a half ago.
1 in 10 is pretty good though, because most
I
of the
know.
people I see are like 1 in 10, maybe 1 out of 15, like the really, really good guys with good
Yeah.
processes.
Yeah.
Uh,
We're also kind of lower volume. I know we probably spend a good amount of money with pay per lead stuff and motivated leads, which is, there's a reason we do it. But we're more so like, once we get our hands on this lead, how can we win it? Right. And so we do have some people that make calls for us, but I get stuck in the thought process. And if anybody listening can relate to this, of killing leads and being too picky. And there's just a flow of doing that, because you get all your own personal stuff. You're like, man, I could really use some money. I need another flip. My pipeline is drying up. We're spending 8 grand on mail next month. Whatever the thought is, you're making it about you. And that you just can't, that's where your business starts to squander, I feel like. So whenever I'm just so transparent with people, I'm about to make an offer on a house when we hop off here, $45,000. It's $250,000 house. And it's really bad. Like, it should be condemned. It's really bad. I could go on and on and on, but it's like, I don't miss a beat with that stuff. But yeah, you just can't get caught up in your head about making offers.
do you make offers on every property you go to?
If I don't, I'm embarrassed. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And if I am approaching something that's a wholesale or whatever, just straight up trying to rectify the situation, or just an area that I'm never going to buy a property in, we're kind of, we reverse engineer it. I don't want to operate in a space, kind of like what we were talking about before we hit record on here, of just being not truthful about certain things. And so if I wholesale a house, I bring the buyers with us, because we have enough of a reputation to do that. And I just don't believe in locking up a contract that I'm just not gonna offer what I'm actually offering. And yes, I'll go through inspections. Yes, I'll renegotiate. Deals are falling apart, but I'm more less concerned with our contract walkthrough rate than I am our contract to close. Our contract to close rate is like 95%. And I don't know anybody who does it like that. And we're leaving money on the table by doing that. I'm fully aware of that. I'm fully aware of that. But yeah, I'm more concerned with, did I perform to what we said we would do?
Yeah, and that's saying something too. 95% super high. Basically, you are keeping your word when you tell someone you're going to buy your house, which I've talked to some people, their contract to close is 30%.
That's
like,
that's their model.
Yeah, that is their model. It's like, okay, so you're telling me you just met with grandma, told her house is sold, so that put her on a trajectory to go make arrangements to do something different. Now you got her behind the 8 ball, so you come back and then just kind of beat her up and stuff, or you just bail on her. It's like, it's hard.
It's unfortunate, and I don't want to like go off on a rant, because you can do business however you want. By all means, I'm not trying to paint anybody in a negative picture here, but I've just been at the U-Haul that somebody packed because of the things that I said, and then I couldn't perform. And for me, I'm just a human, and I'm like, damn, that sucked. So I'm not going to put myself in that position again. Yeah. And it just we get referrals. The last 2 deals we did in like 3 weeks ago, last 2 closings we had 2 weeks ago, both referrals that cost $0. And they were from people that we bought houses from in 2021. So it's just like, I'll take those deals all day, and th're always great deals. They're always laydowns, so to speak, and they trust you. And so, I'm not trying to scrape by the numbers here. So that's just our philosophy.
What types of marketing channels do you guys use?
I hate the answer of like all of them, because it's so true, but I'm really big on networking. I'm really big on like drop cards that I put everywhere. My car is wrapped. It's with my business all over it. I will park in parking lots in front of doors and stand there and talk to people. Like, I'm that guy. And once again, it's control what you can control. It's the same philosophy. There's nothing revolutionary here. I'm in control of if I hold the door longer for somebody with my car backed in by the front door, it says we buy houses any condition. And then I'm in control of them seeing me walk to the car. You know how many conversations in that moment I've had? And I've walked houses from that conversation immediately afterwards. I haven't tracked which one's closed or whatever, but like that is you're in control of that. And so when people ask marketing channels, I'm always like, all of them, but also just being out in the streets is such a big one for us. Talking to neighbors is a huge one for me. I don't know if you're familiar with the 75 Hard program.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, so I've done it a few times, and one of my goals that I add on to 75 Hard is like my second workout is walking for dollars. And so I've closed several deals. I just made a $3 million offer on a 64 pack from one of those leads. I'm beating a guy, and he, it's just like you just never know what you're going to get. And so it's just eat, sleep, and invest, man. Like there's the name right there. It's just the truth. But motivated leads is a good one. We've done other paid lead sources, not going to name drop, but we've since not really used many of them. You guys are rock stars. I'm plugging you because you guys are rock stars on, your delivery, your communication, your client experience. And if you want somebody to stay with you, you take care of your people. It's just simple as that. And so, you guys have given us random, credits back to our account when we for sure have written that off in the marketing budget. We're like, fuck yeah, we're going to, let's turn it back up. And so now being at the beginning of the month, we're about to have that meeting tomorrow, and go through all this stuff too. So, I mean, that is just such a huge thing for us where our business is every single conversation we have is worth $500. And so, that's why we also go out and do all the guerrilla marketing strategies, So it's like anybody listening to this that is trying to get started that doesn't have a big marketing budget, just go walk. It sounds so like not safe and stuff, but like literally drive for dollars, scooter for dollars, door knock, talk to neighbors, cut grass, and have a bandit sign hung around your shirt or a bandit sign on your shirt. Hey, I don't just cut grass, I buy houses. I mean, get creative, guys, right? And that's really the motivation behind a lot of the stuff that we do.
I like that too, especially for guys that are listening right now. They're just getting into this. Don't get sucked into going and spending all your money. You're going to blow deals up because you're not going to know how to take it to close. In the beginning, You're going to mess up. So go hustle. Like the harder you work, the luckier you're going to get.
You don't have anything like on the line. So like and it's good and bad. It's good for people who have their business figured out. But if you don't have your business figured out and you're spending $300 to $500 per conversation, which maybe 5 to 10 of them are a deal at best. So you're spending several $1,000s. The anxiety of being a new person, like you're going to shake on these phone calls. You're not going to know what to say to optimize the situation. You're so worried about getting beat out by the 6 other guys that they're going to call. And it just comes with experience. So to get rid of all of those nerves, go curate a lead that nobody's talking to. Grant Cardone is very good at the power base logic, where it's like, hey, go after your immediate network. Don't be afraid to post on your own Facebook groups or your own Facebook profile. And then also join. This is something we used to teach a lot of people. Just join all your local groups in your area. So if you're in Indianapolis, join Indianapolis garage sales and start posting in there, and just do stuff like that. That is a huge thing that whenever we're coaching people, we have their VAs or anybody do because we have made money from doing that and it's cost you $0. And so just get creative, right? And so I would say don't spend money first because those jitters and those nerves and your own ego will get in the way of all of it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. In the beginning, pay with sweat. Pay with sweat, and then you grow into paying with money. That's cool. One last question for you here. When leads come in, what's your process like?
So when a lead comes in, whether it's PPL, organic SEO comes in, it's inbound to us, whether it's a bandit sign call, whatever it is to literally stop doing what I'm doing. Everybody in my life knows this, except for my dang dogs. I'm trying to get them on board with this. But if I'm outside of like eating dinner or something, I won't make the call immediately. But if I get a web form, I'm calling that lead. If I'm not, I'm texting somebody on my team that says, hey, I can't get to that for 10 minutes. You guys need to call it. Or I'm at the gym. I go to the gym every single morning. And if I'm at the gym, that is the one place that my whole office knows I'm not calling a lead until I'm out of here because it's my space. So we have all that talked about on the front end because the last thing we want to have happen is a lead to come in. And then we have so many different organic sites that we've gotten the same lead on 3 sites before. And once you get that, you're like, damn, I should have called that 2 seconds ago because you're trying to interrupt them from shopping. If that's why they have people stand out front of Sephora, on Black Friday. That's why they have salespeople outside of couch stores at the malls, because they're trying to stop you in your tracks. And that's our goal when we get an inbound lead. So immediate call. If they don't answer, immediate text. And if I can't text them, I'm emailing them. And it's a pain in the butt, guys. Like this is where deals fall apart because you're standing there just finished your workout or whatever, and you're like, I need to email this person because they didn't answer the call and I can't text them. And you're deciding in that moment, this is real talk. You're deciding I'm not going to do it. And guess what? You just lost the deal. And I've been I'm my own victim of that. That's why I get so passionate about it. But so that's the process. And I don't stop until they answer. And then I retag everybody in our CRM for hitting them. I don't know the exact process, but there's like 18 touches in like 7 days. And then I actually get annoyed with that walkthrough I just did this morning because that was a 5-week-old follow-up that I was an email that to me was already dead. He wasn't ever going to set the appointment, but come to find out, he's just setting a cattle call for today, But, that's a paid lead that I'm like, okay, cool, you responded, no big deal. That's a win, right? That's a win. I would do that every single day.
Yep. And you're right, too, because a lot of people fill out forms and they're not ready yet.
Yeah.
Some people close. I talked to some clients, they're closing leads from like a year ago. I had one client, it was like I think he looked in his CRM, it was like 535 days, how long the lead came in, and he locked it down. It was big, too. It was like $60,000.
We have a joke. I think I'm actually egotistical about it. The older the lead is, I get like more egotistical about it because I'm like, dang, I've been talking to them since 2020 and whatever. And I'm just like, it's like a point of pride. It's weird. We're weird like that.
Yeah. And it's true because everyone's going to get the laydowns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the follow-up is where it is because people are people. Like,
yeah,
selling a house is a big deal. Some people need to sell it yesterday, but then other people, they need to sell it, but they got shit to deal with.
Yeah. And I'll kind of end that topic with this is like, not only is every deal a jigsaw puzzle and you're supposed to just find how many puzzle pieces there are, but every human is a procrastinator. And so including myself, I didn't even clean this room I'm in until today, right? To do this. So it's like, we're all the same. And so just acknowledge that. And every single time you talk to somebody, there's a distance, there's a gap. We're trying to close the gap. It's called closing the gap. It's a sales gap, whatever it is in your industry. But in real estate, it's procrastination gap. And we're just trying to get questions asked and answers received to try to figure out how we can get together on this. And so it's not like ignorant. It's not rude. It is forward, because I have so many people where we've gotten deals because they were like, no, hang on, I'll have to call you later. And I'm like, well, hey, we've been trying to call for like 3 days. Like, can we just chat for a minute? And I do that. And we've gotten deals from that. And that for some people, that is something you're never going to do. And so I challenge you, if you're listening to this, or if you have leads like that are just deflecting, all it is this, and we're trying to do this. And the last thing is you cannot kill what's already dead.
Right.
It's already dead. So just go for it, guys.
Yep. That's so true too. It's like, a lot of people it's a lot of headspace.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't say that to them. It's like, why not?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. It's like you can, you don't think you can.
No, you can.
Yeah. You can do anything, it's like, it's just a headspace thing. So it's a limiting belief a lot of people have.
Yeah, and you'll get out of it. I mean, if something is truly supposed to happen, I'm not going to get into astrology or weird stuff, but like, you're going to get what you're supposed to get in life. And you're also going to get, I'm not really religious, but I am very spiritual. And if you're not ready for something, you're not ready for it. And, saying something like that, the example I just gave is you're just not ready for that. And that's fine. And I still leave situations where I'm like, I feel it burning internally because I didn't do something where I'm like, I just need the answers. Like, this is such a waste of time. And like, they keep answering the phone, but they won't give me any info. Like, that's where you get with these things because you're like, this is my business. Like, why are you just tire kicking, wasting time? So,
yeah, so true. Patrick, what's your top book you'd recommend to people?
I just got done reading David Goggins. I know it's
which one, the first one or second one?
Both of them.
Yeah.
And I love them. And I highly suggest anybody listens to the podcast version or the audiobook that is not a real estate related thing, but it's just a like internal hungry, like stay motivated type of thing. And I didn't receive all of his info very well years ago. But when you're ready, once again, it's just like when you're ready for something, it just nails you. So David Goggins just is somebody I would look into if you already.
He makes you just want to go like beast mode and go run and break your legs.
So I've been vaping. Another personal side note: I've been vaping a vape since 2007 every day, and this is day 5 of me not vaping. So I'm freaking out. So you can do anything, guys. Literally,
nice.
It's a lot
on that.
Yeah,
you know what? Vaping was. I used to smoke. I don't usually tell people, but I used to smoke cigarettes all the time. Yeah. And then I switched to a vape because I was able to get this vape that hit really hard. I had a cinnamon flavor to it.
Yeah.
And then quitting that, I had my first son, and that was hard to quit.
Yeah.
It was like no joke.
Yeah. Well, congrats, man.
You're about to the hump.
What's that?
Like once you go like 5-7 days, it starts getting easier.
Yeah, so I'll recommend another book, which is the one I was trying to not recommend, which made me think of quitting vaping. It's Mark Allen or whatever. It's like Easy Way Quit Smoking or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of comedians and famous people have suggested it, like Nikki Glazer, Keira Knightley, like all these famous people have read these books, and it's called The Easy Way. And I did just finish reading that, and that's part of the reason for doing this, because I'm like, look, I'm in the right headspace. Let's just try to do it. And it's really about changing identity. That's my recommendation on a book. If you're listening to this and you vape or smoke.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. I think everybody has vice. It's all different vice. Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah.
Like with me, it was smoking. Now I freaking eat. It's like sometimes it's like, oh man, like I eat sugar. So it's like everyone's got their thing. So I'm glad you brought that up, because everyone's dealing with their stuff and everyone's got their stuff. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
So, but you can take action and you'll feel good about it after. It sucks. Might take 20 times to do something sometimes, but whenever you accomplish it, you look back, you're like, yep. Yeah, I controlled that,
Exactly. See, there, you just tied it all together for me. I was going to say, you control what you can control and try as many times as you need to try to do something. It's just like it's just being very open and honest with yourself, and not everybody is there, but you can get there.
Did you ever hear the phrase "choose your hard"?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like choose your hard. You want to quit smoking now, or you want to deal with cancer later?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. My mom's been in my ear about quitting vaping for so long, and I haven't told her that I'm trying yet. So I'm just gonna surprise her. She's gonna freak out.
Yeah, smart. Don't tell them in the beginning. Yeah, just tell them after. Hey, well, thanks for coming on. This was great.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me a lot. This was awesome.
Hey, what's the best way for people to reach out and connect with you?
I'm pretty open. I just ask mutual respect from my schedule and availability. Just go to my website. It's just thepatricktanner.com, and you'll see on there, a link to Motivated Leads, because I really suggest you guys check them out. And there's any other resource and stuff on there that I've used to close hundreds and hundreds of deals. But also my main focus is, if you guys really do need help with deals and stuff, I do have a way to contact and reach out and get on my schedule that way. So if you do, feel free to hit my calendar and we can go from there.
Let me ask you this too. So if people need help with deals, elaborate on that a little bit.
I'm just very open with people, because like I'm all about getting the deal done. I'm like, it's like two football teams. You got the sellers and you got us investors, right? So I'm very much like not on the seller's side in the game, even though like everything I just explained about value and everything, you would never think that, but we're business here, right? And so it's just like, if you need help doing deals, I have a way you can submit to my schedule and just submit and see that there's availability. What I say is, don't hit me up about like, I have a deal under contract, I don't know what to do with it, right? I'm talking to a seller. Don't hit anybody who's doing deals with what if questions. The way you get responses from anybody who's ahead of you in life, including people I'm reaching out to right now, I email people and DM people all the time, is asking them, are showing that I've already done something that they're probably connected to or related to. And with me and the way I got my foot in the door with a lot of people is I brought deals that I had under contract and said, hey, I'm trying to close this deal. I've already hit up your buyers about it. I'm in your market. I've showed that I've done the work, right? So if you can show that you've done stuff like that, by all means, I want you to close a deal. That's your own, like, you can't just go to school and then pass the class, right? You got to put the work in.
Yep, makes total sense. That is true too, because a lot of people it's like the free advice thing. It's like, hey, you know what? You got a sec.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah, right. It's like, yeah, bring value or show at least you're credible, things like that when reaching out to people.
Yeah, and I expect people to not answer me, and when they do, I expect the answers to be short. And I like, it's no disrespect. It's just like, hey, I'm running a full-time thing. I have people that I manage. I have deals that I'm closing. I have sellers that I'm helping move. I mean, I literally have a full schedule, and so does anybody doing this business. And so the way you get on my schedule is by taking your own action, and then we plug in somehow.
Yeah, give the website again.
Yeah, it's thepatricktanner.com.
All right, cool. Everyone listening to, we'll have that in the show notes so you can check it out. Reach out to Patrick if you got a deal. Hope you guys enjoyed the listening. Thanks for coming on, Patrick. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey, thanks everyone for listening. Get out there, crush it, close some deals. We'll see you guys.